Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Thank y'all for joining me here today, listening, whether it's now an old one or just very brand new for you. So today I was gonna go over regrets, because a lot of that has to do with mental health, a lot of it is involved and included. Sometimes it's harder to say what, because not everybody has the same stuff going on. One person might just be suffering from anxiety. The other, maybe it's a combination of that and depression. Some people have schizophrenia. Maybe they regret not getting diagnosed earlier. Maybe they regret not taking therapy. Maybe they regret not doing something when they were a teen. Regret is in everybody, and it's everywhere you look. So I figured we might go over that today. When I first thought of making this video, I had made a little list. Because I was thinking, how it all started was my grandfather came to visit, and he is in the process of getting divorced again to a wife he's been married to for the past decade. Actually, more than that, but still. And he was just telling me, it's a mutual thing, and there are no regrets about it. And when you make a big decision like that, you have to make sure that you won't regret it. It can't be something that you look back on your life and you just wonder why you wasted it. If it's a big decision like that, no regrets. And then he sat down next to me and he's, no matter what in your life, don't regret it. Don't regret any of the things that you did. So that got me thinking of making this video. And then I thought to myself, I'm going to make a list. Because I think I have a lot of them. And maybe it'll help. So here we go. Alrighty. When I made this, I sat down for a long time and I tried to think of everything, and I was kind of brain stumped, but I have a good little list going on here. And it's not like number 1 through 6, like, oh, I regret this the most. I regret a lot, and a lot of it equal to each other. So my first one was, I regret moving back here. Back where I am now. I lived here for 2 years before, and it was fine. It was great. People were nice. Things are going well, but ever since we moved here this time, I keep putting the bar too high for myself and expecting out of others, because the people were nice here last time we came, and I think internally I thought it would be the same, but I'm not a kid anymore and I have to go out into the real world. It's not like before where I could just stay locked up in my room for weeks at a time. Ever since we moved here, it's just one thing going wrong after the other. Our rent is ridiculously expensive, for one. I thought I made friends that were close enough to be family, and I thought we were cool and we were good and that I actually had found my people, or whatever you want to say. And as soon as I left that job, they all ran like flies and with repellent or something. Like, when you put soap on your finger and a bowl full of pepper with water, that's how it was. If you don't know what I mean, go ahead and give it a try. But yeah, no, it was just, I thought I had found good people that were genuine, and they just, they all turn around and never mind. So, I don't know. I don't know if it's me or if it's just the way other people are made, because it's been that way my entire life. Just me expecting out of others. Like, I don't know, if I give, you give back. And it's not just that. It's not just giving, but does it always have to be me doing it? Am I always gonna fall into that spot? where I'm always the one giving. I regret thinking that genuine people are real. Because every time I go out and I try to find somebody who's genuine, who, not just like romantically, but in a friend or something, some kind of person to be my rock, I think I find them and it's never enough. It's always, it ends in one way or the other, And so far it's been that way for all my relationships. Friend-wise, romantic-wise, anything. I regret not caring about school when I started. When I started high school, I was still in the mindset of I'm never gonna do well, so why try? That was my way of thinking. Because in the previous years, before that, school was something to where I tried, and I overwhelmed myself with work just to have these schools tell me I was still not good enough. Either because I couldn't read fast or because I couldn't do 20 mounds of homework in, an hour. It's just ridiculous, But I think because once I finally got to a good place, I didn't care that much. And I think if I did, I could have pushed myself farther. Like if I cared my first year of high school, I would have been a valedictorian. I could have graduated and got a full scholarship to Yale or something. Maybe I could have made more out of myself. But that'll never happen now, so that can be on the list of regrets. I regret being so angry when I was young. I feel like I was just angry at the world, and I took it out on the people that I loved most. And I don't just mean like young, like 13, 14. I mean young. I started doing that at a young age. Just hating everyone and everything. I mean, I still do, but the difference between now and then is I hate myself more. That's the big thing, It all depends on how you look at things and where you direct your anger. Mine was directed outwards onto others. And then when I realized, hey, that's not a good decision. You're pushing away all the people you have. I started taking it out on myself. And I was like, a light bulb flipped in my head. It was just, one day I was, and then the other day, it was me, When I looked out and all the rage and hatred I felt, instead of projecting it, I started taking it out on myself. And that's because others started taking it out on me. That's why I regret living with her. My her. The one I've talked about in all my videos. I lived with her for 3 years. I thought she was my great escape because, she wanted to pretend like she'd give me the world, but in reality, she took everything from me. Everything I have, everything, that makes me me. How I always think about it is the day I tried to commit, I lost my innocence. And that's when shit got real for me. Because I realized that nobody actually cared. That I had to care about myself, and I just didn't. That just wasn't a thing for me. She made me believe that I was all the wrong in the world. She made me believe that everything bad that happens in the world was because of me. And I started taking that in. I stopped taking it out and taking it in. And that, that's fucked me up for life. So, thank you and congratulations for winning that award. I regret not experiencing anything. When I was in high school, I never really had friends. I was in this small little friend group, but they were all terrible people. Some of them were good, but others only cared about themselves, or it was all about them. And that's how it's been my entire life with friends, it's always about somebody else. It can never be about you. They don't care about you, they only care about them. And that's what this relationship is just you helping them and never getting anything in return, which can be beneficial sometimes, but they weren't even appreciative over it. They're just using me. Like I said, that's been every relationship ever. But I regret not going to parties. I regret not staying home past my curfew. I regret not getting drunk and shit-faced and dancing on a tabletop, or I regret not going to the graveyards with my friends and smoking weed. I regret not having any form of love life other than when I was 16, because that was a huge fucking mistake. You know, what I made because I thought I couldn't be loved. But I regret not experiencing at a younger age. You know, that really set the bar for me. Not going through anything. Because when you don't make those mistakes as a kid, you make them when you're older, and then you realize how stupid it is to think like that, and you're older, you should know better, but you've never experienced anything. You know, all my friends on prom night, they went out and hung out on the beach and had a bonfire, they got drunk, they partied, they had fun. And I'll never have those kind of memories. I'll never, be like, yeah, and I remember we got so shit-faced that I started dancing on top of the tables and, we had a great time, but that was the past. I'll never have those kind of stories. My mom has a lot of those. And that's because she made mistakes. She lived her life. I never did. And I hear from everybody around me all these stories, whether good or bad, and their experiences, they're a fact in your brain that says, hey, you lived. That was a time memorable, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm trying to say. Memorable enough to jot down and say, yeah, I did that, and it felt great. I don't have anything. I never left the house. And whenever I did and whenever I tried, I was told I was wrong and shameful and, how much I was hated for it. I was very sheltered. And when I tried, her excuse was that, it's your mother. Your mother said no, but my mother didn't care. I mean, if I wanted to go through stuff, I would have went through stuff regardless. I was just too scared of the world. I was taught to be afraid. I was taught that everything is bad. And, I mean, fuck, it is, but I took it to heart, I took it a little too far. It wasn't just that, hey, the world's bad, it's a bad place full of bad people who, you know what, you're gonna get hurt. No matter what, you're gonna get hurt. But you're gonna get hurt regardless. I got hurt staying inside all day. I got hurt not having anybody else around me who could hurt me. And that's what hurt. So yeah, I regret not living. Because I'll never have a good story to tell where I have felt like that. I've never been on a date. I've never been asked out, never been to a party, never had real friends. My mom, she's had her best friend since she was 13, and she's pushing 40 now. I come to realize I'll never have that. I'll never have that one person. And I thought I might be able to make that person here. My boss was more like family, kind of like a father figure, and I thought I'd have him. And then my coworker, who I had a huge crush on, not gonna lie, I think I wanted to fall for him. I wanted it to be real, and honestly, I heard a little rumor that he liked me too, but now he's gonna go a million miles away, and I'm probably never going to see him again. And what I wanted to be an experience, it'll be another thing I can put on the list too, that I've never lived. And I want to say my biggest regret of everything, other than letting her into my heart, was loving a man who was 20 years older than me. He ruined me. Not as much as she did, but he did a number. You know, I thought he was my person. You know, every time I was around him, I felt good. I felt like I was living, but I wasn't. It was just another excuse and another way for somebody to use me. You know, I wanted to live, and I wanted it to be real, and I wanted the feelings that I had then to be what living felt like. Because I was breaking so many rules, you know, but, you know, in the long run, it was just him using me for sex. And that's how a lot of guys are, so be wary. But, you know, it was just the little things that made me maybe think that it was real, even though I knew it would never be. Like when he took me and, you know, held me in his arms and told me that I was slowly turning into the love of his life. I wanted that to feel real, but I knew it wasn't. I knew it was just another scheme to get me to do some kind of sexual favor for him. That's how most of our relationship was, just sex, which isn't great. And I regret it. You know, I regret thinking that those feelings were real. That he could feel things like that. But, you know, everything is a lesson to learn. And, like my grandfather said, have no regrets. So, I'm trying to find what the lessons I'm supposed to be learning from all these things are. You know, it can't be a regret if it was something to learn from, and I can't think of what I've learned. I wish I could. Maybe me being an angry kid was just so that I could see that there's another aspect of it, you know, that it's not the world, but that you need to hate, but some pieces of yourself. And I'm not saying you should at all. Do not hate yourself. But for me, you know, maybe it was taking me off my high horse. You know, be like, hey, you're not the perfect angel. You know, you're not the person everybody looks up to. You're nothing. You know, and you need to remember that. Be humble. Maybe me not experiencing anything was to protect me in some way. I don't know how, because all it did was hurt me. I mean, no matter how drunk or roofied or whatever I could have gotten, I mean, I know those are all bad things, but they're experiences that I will never have. You know, I'll never have that experience as a kid, going to your friend's mom's house and throwing the biggest party, you know, so bad you get the cops called and you have to run through the back. You know, that'll never be me. But maybe it was an experience. Maybe it just wasn't meant for me. Maybe the people I surrounded myself with, I was just blocking out so that I wouldn't get hurt. And I know that was a big thing, but I do kind of wish I would have experienced something. Maybe, you know, if I would have cared about school and gone to Yale or did any of those things, maybe I wouldn't be in a position where I am now, and maybe this is where I'm supposed to be. I mean, I really hope not, because fuck, but I'm going into medical billing and coding now. Maybe if I would have done better in school, I would have picked a harder subject and have way more debt than what I do, and maybe that's just something that I needed to have hold me back. Maybe, you know, moving here is just another lesson to learn. Maybe don't be so trustworthy with cops, you know? don't be so resilient. Not resilient, I guess. Just be more self-aware, self-put together, I guess. Just don't put yourself out there, but not too much. As for, friends and loves and her, I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm not meant for true love, romantic or friend-wise. Platonic love is one thing. I see all these people on the internet and just everywhere in life, they have their platonic best friends that they'll spend their entire life with. Their real soulmate. But I don't think it's meant for me. I think every time I get somebody, I push them away. And every time I get somebody and I don't, they do. Don't know what's wrong with me, but I don't think I'm meant for that kind of love. I don't think I'm meant to be loved romantically either. I think maybe if a person does like me, that they get to know me and then they stop because they realize how fucked up I am. Maybe I'm just too broken to be fixed. Maybe I'm just too broken to be loved. It's hard to say because even the closest people I have around me know how to hate me. Like, I love my mom, but at this point she knows me and she knows the things I'm capable of and can do and everything else, and she knows how to hate me. And that's a whole nother concept. Not that they do, but they know how. They know how it feels to hate you. Not that they do all the time, but sometimes they have this spark of rage within them, and they direct it towards you, and they sometimes hold on to that feeling. And that's why people have regrets. It's that little spark inside of you that you let out and it just created a big mess. And then you regret it, So, I don't know what the lesson is from life. I wish I did. But, it's all something to learn from. So maybe you guys can try this too. Maybe make a list of every regret that you have. And then put it side by side with another one. And just take your time with it. Think a lot. And then think of each regret that you have. What was something that you learned from it? Or what was something that helped you become a better person because of it? My experience with her made me not so angry, but it did make me angry with myself. I don't know if that was something I was supposed to learn. That's just an example. I don't know what the lesson is to a lot of it, but I'm still young and I'm still learning. I'm technically still a kid. Believe it or not. Maybe it's all just to prepare me for the future, but I don't know what's to come. There's 50% of the world that thinks everything will go just fine. There's another 50% saying that it'll end soon, so I guess we'll find out if the mushrooms start infecting people. Wow. But until something drastic happens in your life to get you to change, to get you to where you need to be, just keep that list on you. And just every time you look back and you think, fuck, why did I do that? Why? Just, that ruined everything. Think of something that maybe would have happened otherwise, and maybe this is where you're supposed to be. Because like it or not, everything happens for a reason. It takes a lot even just to make a person, you have to be the 1 in a million sperm and collect to the 1 egg to even become anything. And then you have to survive that. And then, the parent has to choose whether to keep it or not. And then every choice after that it grows with you as a person, and it defines who you are. You know, from the picking to your name, to the picking of your grave. It is just, that's what life is. It's a big wheel of experiences. You know, and with me saying I didn't live and I didn't experience, that is true. But not experiencing anything is an experience, you know? Not experiencing how to live taught me that I don't want to live like that. And it's difficult. But, you know, here we are. I don't have much more to say, so thank you guys for watching. If I don't see you today, see you tomorrow or whenever. Good morning, good night, and goodbye.